Friends, welcome back to another Freebie Friday. This week we're sewing up the free Winterwear Designs crossed hem tee. I'm super excited because in our Facebook group this month's challenge is sewing things for yourself, and I definitely need more t-shirts. So when I saw this, it's super cute and I thought, what a great pattern to just sew up for something special for me. Okay, so you're going to need to cut out a front piece. The front piece is going to have this curved edge at the bottom, and then you can choose between two different necklines. You can choose a V-neck or a low scoop. I chose low scoop. So once you have your front piece, you're going to also need a back piece cut out. You're going to need the crossover hem piece for the other front piece. You're going to need a hem band or front band, a neck band, and 2 sleeve pieces. Okay, now that we have all our pieces cut out, what I like to do before I sew up a color block or a top that has multiple pieces is I like to lay out my pieces to make sure that they're all going to lay just the way they need to. So I'm going to take my front piece and my crossover front piece, and I'm just going to lay them out so that I can see exactly how they should be. Then what you're going to do is you're going to take your front hemband piece and we are going to iron it in half wrong sides together, or press it, because we want this nice and smooth and flat for when we sew it. Okay, so now that that's all pressed, what we're going to do is we are going to line it up with the bottom hem, that curved hem on our front piece. So just take a bit of it. You can put the ends on. In the instructions they say the ends stick over a little bit, so I stuck it. When I do bands like this, I like to give it a little bit of space on either side just so that in case the machine doesn't catch it right away. So like start a 1/2 inch in on the band and just go 1-to-1 around that bottom hem, matching it up, and it will overhang on both sides. It's a pretty long band piece. So just match that up, right sides together, raw edges aligned. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take the crossover piece and we are going to lay that now right sides together, lining up the bottom hem or the bottom edge, raw edges there, so that the straight part is more pointing up towards the neck of your shirt, I guess. So more of the curved part you're gonna align with that hem there. Okay, now that our band is sandwiched between our front and our crossover hem piece, we're just going to sew along those raw edges using a 3/8 inch seam allowance. Alright, so our front pieces are officially put together, and what we want to do now is we want to press so that our hem band is the seam allowance is up towards the top, like the main body of the shirt. But before we do that, we're going to go ahead and cut off these little extra bits because we won't need them anymore. And then we're just going to go press that seam allowance up towards the main body of the shirt. Alright, now that that's laying nice and flat, we're going to go ahead and just top stitch right along that seam allowance. Okay, so to top stitch, I'm using my cover stitch machine, but if you don't have one, you can still make a totally professional looking top stitch by using either a twin needle or by sewing 1/8 of an inch away from your seam allowance and then about 1/4 inch to 1/8 inch away from that sew line. Alright, so with everything pressed and top stitched and looking nice, we are going to now attach our front to our back. You're going to go ahead and go to the top of your shirt where you'll see the shoulder pieces, and you're going to line up the shoulder pieces from your front to the shoulder pieces on your back. Those raw edges should line up perfectly even, and we're just going to go ahead and clip along those, and then we're going to use a 3/8 inch seam allowance to sew along both of those to get the front and back attached. So just another note with sewing, I am using my serger, but you can totally do this on a home machine using a stretch stitch, zigzag stitch, lightning stitch, any stitch that you prefer. Okay, so our front and back are attached. Now we are going to start putting on our sleeves. So we're going to lay our shirt right sides up and put one of the arm sky curves towards the top. We're going to fold a sleeve piece in half. This is going to show us where the middle of the sleeve is, where we need to align it with the shoulder seam. So go ahead and mark that with a pin or a clip, and then align that with the shoulder seam that we just sewed. And then what we're going to do is take one of the corner of the sleeve and match it to the bottom corner of the arm sky, and then line up those raw edges so that they lay nice and flat and straight together. And then do the same thing with the other side. Just line up that corner with the corner of the sleeve with the corner of the arm sky. And then what we're going to do, now that it's all attached, you can pin and clip throughout the sleeve too to keep it nice and flat and together. And once you're ready, we're going to go ahead and take that over to our machine and sew along those raw edges with a 3/8 inch seam allowance. It's really important when you're sewing with curves that you make sure that your raw edges are lined up, but that you also don't pull your fabric or push it as you're sewing. You just slightly guide it around that curve as you're going. Okay, so we've got one sleeve attached, and we are just going to do the same thing to the other side. So flip your shirt right sides up. You can see here my shoulder seam allowance. I cut that off. I wasn't paying attention when I cut, but it's okay, it'll still work out. Fold your sleeve in half again to find that point where we are going to line that up with our shoulder seam, and then match those up, and then just take the two corners of your sleeve and align them up with the bottom and top corners of your arm sky. Pin and clip around as you feel comfortable, and then we are going to sew around those raw edges with a 3/8 inch seam allowance. Alright, so both sleeves are attached and we are almost done with our top. So what we need to do now is we need to fold our shirt in half, right sides together. So we are going to line up the bottom corner of our sleeves and align that up, and your arm sky, I never know how to say that right, where those seams are, we want to make sure that those line up. If you want to make the seam less bulky, you can have one seam allowance going up and the other going down. It's really preference. And then we're just going to go ahead and line up those raw edges on the side all the way down the top, and then we're going to sew along that using a 3/8 inch seam allowance. Now, one note about this is that nope, hang on. Okay, now that we've got that side all sewn together, we're just gonna do the same thing to the other side. So we're gonna match up the corners of the sleeve, pin and clip that together, and then the same thing as you go down, just make sure that the seam allowance at the bottom of the arm scarf is matched up. I'm really sorry if I'm butchering this word. People have told me multiple times how to say it, and it never sticks, so I apologize. Anyways, we're just gonna go ahead and pin and clip all the way down to the bottom there. All right, and then what you'll notice on this side is as you go down, because this is the side where the band ends, the back piece is actually going to hang over a 1/2 inch, so it's going to be a 1/2 inch longer than the front piece, and that's because when we hem it, we're going to fold it over that 1/2 inch and it'll be nice and tucked under. Okay, so our shirt is all put together. All that's left is hemming and adding the neckband. So we're going to go ahead and turn our shirt right sides out. And what we're going to do is we are going to fold up the raw edge starting at that back where it hung over a 1/2 inch, where it was a 1/2 inch longer than the front band piece. We're going to fold all the way around to the end of that crossover hem, the crossover front piece, 1/2 inch down, and then we're going to go ahead and press it. And once it's laying nice and flat, we are going to top stitch as close to that raw edge as possible. One note with hemming this is that once you've got your hem all the way across that front crossover piece, I would actually take that the raw edge of that crossover piece and fold it up a little bit and tack it down. In other words, it likes to kind of just hang out there. But okay, now that it's all top stitched and laying great or hemmed, we are going to quarter our neckband so that we know, or our neck opening, so we know exactly where to put our neckband. So we're going to line up those shoulder seams, and then so fold it in half, lining up the shoulder seams, and then where it's folded at the top or at the back of the top and the front of the top, that is going to be our first 2 quarter points. It's especially important to quarter neckbands on this because we're doing a low scoop, but really just get in the habit of quartering your neckbands. It looks so much better. Okay, so once we've got those first 2 quarter points, we're going to match those 2 quarter points up, and then where those folds on the side are going to be our second or our third and fourth quarter points. Now that our neck opening is quartered, we're going to go ahead and prep our neckband piece. So I used tubular rib knit, so I don't need to prep it. But if you didn't, you're going to fold it in half and then sew along the short raw edge. Since mine's already sewn like that, I don't need to do it. But once you have that done, you are going to fold it so that the wrong sides are together. And then we are going to quarter this neckband piece just like we quartered our neck opening. So where your seam was, where you sewed the 2 pieces together, that's going to be your back, your first quarter point. And then you're going to fold that in half. Fold your neckband in half, and the direct opposite part where that seam is, that's going to be your second quarter point. And then we're going to match up those first and second quarter points together, and at the top of the fold of that is going to be your third quarter point, and at the bottom of that fold is going to be your fourth quarter point. Okay, so our neckband and our neck opening are both quartered. Now what we're going to do is just match up those quarter points, putting the right sides together. So the right side of your neckband is going to be against the right side of your shirt, and then aligning the raw edges. So just match up those 4 quarter points as you go, making sure you should have then 3 raw edges around your neckband. And then once that's all attached, what we're going to do is, or clipped together, what we're going to do is we're going to sew around the neck opening using a 3/8 inch seam allowance. Make sure as we're sewing the neckband that we don't stretch the shirt opening, we actually just stretch the neckband piece, because if you stretch both of them, you're going to have a really wonky neckband. So while you're sewing, just make sure to kind of stretch that neckband as you're going. Okay, so our neckband is attached. Let's go top stitch around it. Note too about top stitching neckbands. When I do it, I like to make sure my seam allowance is down towards the main part of the shirt instead of up towards the neckband. If it's up towards the neckband, it'll just make that neckband a little bit smaller. So by putting it down towards the shirt, it gives you a nice looking neckband. Oh, look how great this is looking. I cannot wait to put it on. It looks so comfy. All right, all that's left now is to just hem our sleeves. So we are just gonna go ahead and turn the raw edges so that wrong sides are together, a 1/2 inch on both of those sleeves. You can pin it, you can clip it, you can press it, whatever you wanna do, but then we're gonna go ahead and top stitch, getting as close to that raw edge as possible. All right, and here we have the finished shirt. It's so comfy. I love this so much. It's so cute. It's got that nice little accent there. I just love it. So thank you so much for joining me on this Freebie Friday. I hope you like it as much as I do, and I'll see you next time. Bye.